Welcome back to another episode of Just a Tip, where we say the shit that everyone's thinking but nobody's saying. I am still here on location in Miami Beach. Hijacked the South Beach Seafood Festival because I kind of like it here. I like working in the sun. And my guest today, Bernie Matz. A lot of you guys know him from Café Bernie's, but he is a staple of the 305 community, with having one of the first cafes on Lincoln Road, wet paint, being the executive chef of Bodega, along with Diego, the co-host of Weekends Miami Beach, who's going to be telling us a bunch of crazy celebrity stories you guys have definitely never heard. Going over the changes in South Beach, what it takes to make it through in the restaurant world in Lincoln Road, the Seafood Festival, a bunch of stuff. Let's get into it. This episode of Just a Tip is brought to you by Rooftop Solutions. So the craziest thing happened. You might have even seen it in the news. A restaurant in Wynwood had to shut down for years after a leaky roof caved in. Imagine all that money, time, momentum gone just because the roof wasn't handled right. And that's why I always recommend Rooftop Solutions. They've been protecting homes and businesses all over Miami-Dade and Broward for over 20 years. They're local, based in Hialeah, and they take pride doing the job with honesty and craftsmanship so your roof stands the test of time. And here's the deal. If you got a leak, they will patch it for free while prepping your roof to be replaced. So unless you want to add a lazy river in your dining room, call Rooftop Solutions, tell them Felix sent you. If your restaurant's POS is slowing you down instead of speeding you up, you're running on the wrong system. Here's the reality. Most POS platforms were built for franchises and retail, not really for restaurants like yours. That's why I actually back Pecan POS. It's built specifically for food service, fine dining, chef-driven, and high-touch spots. And it doesn't make your life harder, it makes it easier. Fully customizable, hooks right into every major delivery app. And the kicker? The POS itself is free with their solution. No bullshit fees, no nickel and diming you with add-ons, just a system that actually runs the way your restaurant runs. Trust me, this one is different. Visit pecanpos.com or hit the link in the show notes to book a demo. Welcome back to another episode of Just a Tip. I'm your man, Felix, and we are filming live on location from the South Beach Seafood Festival. Today, I am honored to have an OG Miami Beach chef, the 6-time champion of the South Beach Seafood Festival, Mr. Bernie Matz.
Thank you, Felix.
And his trusted co-host, my man, Diego.
Sir, good seeing you again.
And if you don't know Diego, I'm sure you've partied with him back in the day, in the 90s. Old school promoter. We've definitely run into each other many, many times. A living legend. I usually do one-on-ones, but in this episode, I needed Diego on.
Thank you, sir.
Also confirm and deny all stories that we're going to be talking about. We got some good
stories coming up.
Well, Felix, Diego's high tide. You know that, right?
Yeah, beach high.
Yeah.
Grew up on the beach.
And since we're all about keeping it 305, we're going to share some 305 stories today.
Yes.
If anybody doesn't know Bernie is a staple of the community. When he was 24 years old, he opened one of his first cafes on Lincoln Road, Wet Paint Cafe, right? That was it?
Yes. Cafe.
And you were 24?
24 years old.
And that was kind of your real introduction into the world of when we would all become degenerates, or was there something before that?
No, I was a degenerate before that. But Wet Paint Cafe was we saw the vision of South Beach, and at that time, Felix, there was a program on TV called Miami Vice, and they had all kinds of they portrayed all kinds of cool places here in Miami, of which none of them existed.
Of course.
So I remember talking to my partner and saying, we need to make a place on Lincoln Road that's actually like Miami Vice. So that's what we set out to do. The cool thing about Miami Vice was, I don't know if you remember this, but the chef of Wet Paint Cafe, Douglas Rodriguez, went on to create an entire new cuisine.
One of the greatest chefs, I think, in Miami of all time, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he on the list of the top 100 Latin chefs in the country or in the world?
He wrote the cookbook Nuevo Latino. He created a whole new genre of food, and he was at the top of a pyramid that went all the way down all over the country with Nuevo Latino. Yes, Douglas Rodriguez, top 100 most important Latins in the country. He was the only chef on the list. Amazing.
That's a big deal.
He was on David Letterman regularly. And that's why people really remember Wet Paint Cafe, besides the fact that Wet Paint Cafe was at the right place at the right time, mid-'80s, on Lincoln Road, when that little bit of a spark was just starting to happen, and we just happened to be there.
Well, for people that don't know, what was Lincoln Road like at that time?
Oh my God, Lincoln Road was beautiful, but it was empty.
Well, it was local. Everyone that worked on Lincoln Road lived on Miami Beach.
Diego, did you do Lincoln Road at that time a lot?
I dated a girl that worked on Lincoln Road. My brother worked on Lincoln Road. I mean, 80% of the people who worked on Lincoln Road lived in South Beach or Miami Beach.
Right.
It was just such a local spot.
Well, obviously, it wasn't, like the kind of prices that they have today. I mean, for
not
people
at
that
all.
don't know, what were prices like per foot?
No. The South Beach,
$1,500, $2,000.
17th Street down was completely devastated.
I mean, people don't know that shit was pretty ghetto.
Lincoln Road. Lincoln Road was so bad that the landlords gave a lot of storefront space to an organization called South Florida Art Center,
Yep.
where they would parcel it out to like local poor little starving artists that would have little kiosks.
Yeah.
And that's what started to bring Lincoln Road back. I can tell you that at the Sterling Building on Lincoln Road in 1985, we paid $5 a square foot.
Wow, $5.
And by the way,
is that with or without cams?
that's with cam, include everything. There was no cam.
Right.
And we couldn't pay the rent. At
kidding.
$5 a square foot, there was no one going down. All I can tell you is, I'm going to tell you one quick story, Felix. You might not believe this. Wet Paint Cafe, two little kids went to the city of Miami Beach and we asked for a sidewalk cafe license. And the city of Miami Beach, in the history of the city of Miami Beach, had never given out a sidewalk cafe
wow.
license. If you
Wow.
can imagine Ocean Drive, Lincoln Road, Collins Avenue, all South Beach, without somebody sitting outside on the sidewalk. They had never done it. So we said, we want people to sit outside like they do in Europe. And we went in front of the commission, and then we went down to the city. They didn't charge us a penny. They said, these two kids are crazy. You guys can have the whole block, both sides of the block, for free.
Wow.
And that was the very first sidewalk cafe license ever
Wow,
given
so you
out by
guys
the
are
city of Miami.
pioneers, man, like legit pioneers. You made a lot of landlords billions of dollars.
Yeah, you're the one to blame.
So you're the guy, huh?
You're the guy that said,
listen,
we need to charge for these
the
permits.
space that I was in, I can tell you, my good friend Jonathan Eisman opened up in the 90s as Pacific Time.
The best.
And I'm going to give them the credit. The
That's
people that
true.
came in the 90s, the people that came there, Lincoln Road and South Beach, and the models and so forth that came in the 90s, really deserve most of the credit.
Tell me about that transition. Like obviously you just touched on Miami Vice. We know that they actually wound up building sets that wound up, like I know that actually, you know what? The first restaurant that me and you met, you were looking at the Paulie G space on 79th Street in Biscayne. It used to be a Chinese restaurant that they built for the Miami Vice set, right?
Wow.
That's right.
And I remember you were so like, I think you even brought it up. You're like, I want this place because it was on Miami Vice episode. It was the triad circle episode. I was like, really? You're like, yes, I want it. And that was how we met. I
What
remember.
an iconic TV show. I just recently went back and started watching some of the reruns. It's amazing.
You know what? It still holds
Really
up.
amazing. Still holds up.
Great cast. You got Phil Collins and John Guizamo and Julia Roberts.
John Johnson,
Yeah, it was great.
Yep.
So,
Amazing.
okay, so now, we have some of those early players on. Now tell me about, now Pacific Time comes in. Who else helped build that neighborhood?
Well, Pacific Time was huge because I used to work at the Rally.
Right.
And whenever a guest was stayed there, and the Rally was back in the days, it was the Rally and the Delano. Those
Right.
were the high-end hotels. That's where all the stars stayed at. And we used to send them to Pacific Times. That was the restaurant back then.
I know, like for me, I spent countless hours on in at like Sushi Samba, and Van Dyke Cafe, and I mean, do you think that's what it was? Do you think it was more about like the gay crowd coming and the gay clubs that they put out? Like, what do you think? Was it the Versace? Was it just like a perfect storm?
It was a little bit of everything. Certainly Versace put the legitimate stamp on the whole thing as far as fashion is concerned, because the biggest fashion icon at the time now buys a property on Ocean Drive. Well, guess what? Everybody from Europe wanted to be on South Beach.
Right.
But you still got to go back to Miami Vice. I can just see these Europeans watching reruns of Miami Vice in the early 90s,
Right.
The panoramic of Ocean Drive, the shots of the flamingos and stuff,
Right.
and they all wanted to come down here. It was super cheap to stay here. It was super cheap to fly your crew down here, shoot down. In fact, it was cheaper to come down to South Beach, shoot on the beach, bring the models, bring everybody, than to go and shoot in Europe. So all the Europeans were coming down here. They wanted to be next to Versace. Certainly that was, I mean, Versace really made it like a
Every
legit
block there was a
spot.
show to
Right.
food. Yeah, every
Yeah.
block there was a show to food.
I mean, we went through a lot, just like any other neighborhood, even in the 80s. Felix, I can tell you that South Beach went through, you know, the AIDS epidemic.
Right.
You know, where a lot of the locals were affected. And then on to that. But yeah, certainly the cool clubs, which Diego can tell you that evolved into the 90s, and the cool early clubs, most of them were gay. I
Right.
mean, we went to them, a lot
Right.
of...
After hours, yeah.
Yeah, you went to
Warsaw.
them.
Warsaw,
but
yep.
the
Yeah.
Warsaw Ballroom and
Yep.
and the place that was on 23rd Street, what was that?
The Kitchen Club was also
Before
around
the
there.
Kitchen Club. But all these places, there wasn't too many places to go, honestly. Look, Scratch, the Delaplanes, I'm going to give them a little shout out. News Cafe
Yep.
turned Ocean Drive legit.
Yep.
All of a sudden, News Cafe opens up on Ocean Drive 24 hours, and you go, what the hell are these guys thinking?
Right.
And bam! The place was packed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Best
Right.
turkey
Couldn't get a
club
seat
sandwich.
there.
Right.
Best
You know,
turkey
how
club.
do you explain that? And then as you progress and you had the Clevelanders of the world and so forth, where they were just doing outrageous numbers. You know, we talked to Mike Paulman the other day, and he said there's no place else in the country that went, you know, all day long, 7 days a week. That's why
And
we were able to do the
as
numbers.
this was happening, how when did the rates really start matching like what was happening in the neighborhood?
You know, at the beginning, what was happening was the facades were beautiful. Okay, the shots from Miami Vice
Right.
were beautiful. In other words, the outsides of the buildings were painted pretty and pink and turquoise and shit. But when you went into the buildings, they were ghetto AF. And I'm
Ranch
sure
motels, yeah.
they had fucking bed bugs and
Right.
shit in them. So they were still $70 a night or whatever they were at the time.
Right.
Little by little, people started buying them and fixing them up and turning them into legit, and then they went higher and higher and higher end. And then the prices, as you know, in your business,
Right.
it's all supply and demand. So everybody wanted to be down there. It was super cute. You walk across the street and fall onto the beach, even if you were partying till 5 or 6 in
That's
the morning,
right.
or even if you were still up from last night.
Right.
Felix, you could just kind of roll over Ocean Drive and go hang out at the beach. I know
Yeah.
Diego's
And
done that
that's
couple
why a
times.
lot of
I
locals
think I probably
lived
ran
here.
into Diego
Yeah,
at-
that's why a lot of
uh,
local lived in South Beach. In 1995,
Right.
I lived on top of News Cafe.
Right.
With my girlfriend at the time, because she was a cashier downstairs at the bookstore at the
Right.
News Cafe, and we were paying $1,000 a month on Ocean Drive.
Right.
On top of News Cafe. We used to see Versace every day because he used to walk there to get his European newspapers. A lot of people don't know that. News Cafe was the only spot you can go to get newspapers from Italy, from France, everything. That was the spot. So he used to go there all the time, and he used to use the payphone that was right at the entrance of the door. And he would just sit there like a regular guy, look at his newspaper, and then walk back to the mansion. It was incredible times.
God
really
bless.
incredible.
I remember exactly. You know, there's people that say I remember when we landed on the moon. I remember where I was where JFK was shot. I remember exactly where I was
Yeah.
when I heard that he was.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Uh,
that was
literally, I think it was in the morning too, right? It was like early in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah,
Early in the
11
morning, and it
a.m.
hit
around
the news
there.
right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were all like really, shook
Right
by
on the
it.
street, right on the sidewalk.
Do you think that maybe after that happened was maybe the beginning switch of South Beach turning?
Maybe.
Do you think that it was just like it just became a little different then?
How could it not? Just to have an icon like that murdered right on the street by a crazy guy, and then all of a sudden, now we lost what made that us legit, and then little by little it just has deteriorated ever since. Yeah,
Right.
unfortunately.
And then so now, okay, we had our wet cafe moment. What was the next step in your journey? What was like the next big step?
Well, I go back to Lincoln Road with Mitchell Kaplan at Books and Books in 2004.
That's a big one.
I think that Miami Beach, looking back on Miami Beach, it had a trajectory in the 90s
Yep.
that was just like ready to fly off the
Right.
map. And then a bunch of crazy Arabs flew planes into the Twin Towers. And 2001, I don't know if you were here, but that really trashed Miami Beach. All of a sudden, people weren't flying, they weren't coming down.
Interesting.
They were this.
Yep.
We had Stephen Hobbs from China Grill back in those days, and he was telling us how he went from 800 covers a night to 50 covers
Yeah.
a night. So my South Beach was devastated and
Interesting.
momentarily stepped back, and then it started to pick up again.
How long do you think that little gap lasted?
I think it was probably 2002, 3,
about a
4.
year.
You know,
Oh, wow,
it was a
so
little
it
bit
took
until
some time, huh?
It took some time to come back, and then we've had some big numbers according to Clevelander and Mangoes, and those are the
right.
people that we know that we can gauge by, and they had some big numbers in the 2012, 13, 14
Right.
after the real estate situation. And then, of course, COVID put a stop to that. But it's a constant up and down, a constant supply and demand. And as Felix, nobody knows better, sometimes the rents get a little bit too high for you to be able to do business. And they're going to have to adjust accordingly.
You definitely, one place I loved of yours that you opened up, obviously, was Bernie's LA Cafe. You know what? A lot of people sleep, but I actually enjoyed it a lot.
You know, people remember Bernie's LA Cafe. It was a little dive right there on the side of next to Starbucks on Alton Road. I loved that place. It was like my version of you know, we used to, when we were kids, we grew up and we used to go to Latin Cafe, the Latin American Cafe
Yes.
on Coral Way,
Right.
which for decades had the best Cuban sandwich in Miami,
Good spot.
and everybody knew that,
Yep.
right?
Until who took it over?
Until
I got a couple of my personal
Go ahead.
favorites. We'll say, how about that? We'll save that one for the end. We'll save.
So we, as kids growing up, we always used to say we're going to go to LA Cafe to get a
Right.
Cuban sandwich. So I said I'm going to do Bernie's LA Cafe, as sort of a modern version on that little Cuban, you know, sandwich shop, if you will. And that was Bernie's LA Cafe. But I thought you were going to mention Bodega. Bodega was really something that kind of changed the way things happened
That
here
got
on
huge.
South Beach. It was
That got-
really a phenomenon. Certainly the biggest thing I've ever been
So,
involved
so
with.
tell me, like, you know, about that one. How did you get involved with Keith and Jared and?
You know, Keith and Jared and Roman Jones and Justin Levine at the very beginning. It was a combination of.
Oh, I didn't realize
of
Roman.
guys
I didn't
that
know
had
Roman was
money,
involved. Yeah.
And guys that had clubs and guys that wanted to do cool food. Because Bodega originally was, I don't know if Diego knows this, but the original concept that Roman Jones and Justin Levine had was in the front, they were going to do like a little sex toy shop.
Right. Oh,
Like
that's-
where you could buy dildos and rubbers and
No
shit.
way.
Yeah. And then it was Menon Group, it was Keith
Right.
and
Yep,
Jared that
Menon
came in and said,
Hospitality.
no, let's do like a cool taco place in front and then the hidden speakeasy in the back. And that's where the partnership came in. Early on, they bought Roman out and
Yep.
Justin Levine stayed on for a little bit and bought them out, and then Keith stayed on. But it was a tremendous phenomenon. You know something's, Felix, you know something's gonna work when the day you open, they're lining up outside.
Yeah.
the
Well, that thing also went from 0 to 60 real quick.
The first day we opened, it was out the door. It was overwhelming. And again, I'd never been with associated with a place that did those kind of numbers
Right.
too. I mean, I gotta say, I had the highest volume of tacos in anywhere in the city. We did almost $4 million a year in tacos. I don't think there's a taco stand or
Wow.
place that does $4 million
That's
bucks. And that was
crazy.
in 10 years ago, dollars. The taco volume was incredible, and the volume in the back bar was unbelievable. Went till 5 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week. That's where you make your money.
Right.
Yeah,
If you can
that
pull
late
that
night,
off,
that late night crowd.
and that
yeah.
means that you're open all day, and then you're open until 5 in the
Right.
morning, and you're ringing up that register till 5. That's where the big numbers come in. That's where the big numbers came in for Clevelander and Ocean Drive, where they were doing silly numbers, 35, 40 million there on Ocean Drive with nothing, no real infrastructure, just selling drinks around the pool.
Yeah.
Party
So that was unheard of, even anywhere in the country.
Do you think? I mean, do you think people are still drinking as much? You know, like going to the Wet Willies and the Mangoes and like those type
I
of.
think people are just drinking home now. Because it's really not. I mean,
I
is
don't
there
know.
really a
I
good
feel like
nightclub on the beach? It's not a good
I'm
nightclub
drinking
on
as
the
much.
beach.
You drink as much, or you don't drink as much?
I home, yeah.
I mean, I definitely still drink as much, but I'm not the regular person.
I'm not the guy to ask. Listen, we used to have people sit down at Bodega and get a table and buy bottles and spend 10 G's, 15 G's, and there was 10 people sitting around there. I don't know if that still happens. I'm a little out of it
Right.
at my age.
But based on like what you see, like, you know, is it the same number where like liquor would always be the bonus? Like, do you still see that today? Like, you know, the food, and like now do you have to sell more food to make up for like the drop in liquor?
No, you don't want to do that. Obviously, you always want the liquor to just carry the whole thing because that's where it's easy. There's no waste,
Right.
right? It's not
huge.
perishable like food is. And then you've got the markups, although good booze is expensive. So the markup's not that simple. It's not a no-brainer. Like back in the day when you used to buy jug vodka for $4 and then make cocktails. You can't really pull that shit off anymore.
Right.
So you're buying a decent, you're buying premium stuff. And then when you start to chop it up and you make a nice martini,
Right.
guess what? To get to 25%, 30%, is as hard as food, but it's non-perishable.
Right.
So that bottle of vodka sits there and just goes up in value. I think it's not going down.
Absolutely.
So let me tell you guys something I see all the time. You take over a second-gen space, you think it's turnkey, but the second you walk in, it's not exactly what you need. Maybe the bar layout doesn't flow, maybe the kitchen's a little outdated, or the bathrooms look like they haven't been touched since the 90s. That's why I tell all my clients, you need to call Brodson Construction. Whether you're building from the ground up or not, you still need the finishing touches done right. Brodson's been local and family-run since 1989. They're the top 1% in Florida, and they've handled everything from luxury homes on Star Island to some of Miami's best retail and restaurant spaces like LPM, Cipriani, Hillstone, Bell Harbor, just to name a few. Bottom line, don't settle for nickel and dime contractors who might underbid the work to win the job up front and screw you over in the end. Brodson maintains integrity every step of the process to build enduring relationships and never exploit clients. So remember, if you're going to build, call Brodson Construction. Look, as a business owner, I'll be real with you. Running my brokerage takes all my time. And in Miami, if you're not showing up online or on social media, you just don't exist. That's why I've worked with Sage Marketing Studios from the very beginning. Website, social, even this podcast. They're the ones behind the camera, building strategy, keeping it consistent, and making sure my brand looks like it actually belongs in the city. So just a tip. Stop having your cousin post blurry iPhone pics once every 3 months. Hit up Sage Marketing Studios. You can find them on Instagram at socialmedia.sage and tell them Felix sent you. A lot of you know me from my F+B Miami page, but what you might not know is that I also run Florida's largest restaurant real estate brokerage called F+B Hospitality. Every week I meet somebody that thought that they could just wing it on a restaurant lease. And every week on F+B Miami, you guys see how that turns out. And that is exactly why I started F+B Hospitality Brokerage. We treat our clients' money like it's our money. We don't say things just to say it or paint pretty little pictures. We go based on facts and numbers. If we don't like a deal, location, or permit status, we are absolutely not afraid to tell you. It's about setting you up to last. So you could focus on food and foodies while we negotiate the build out and the terms.
I mean, were there any crazy stories during that? I know Diego, I want to get some crazy Diego stories.
Diego has way more crazy stories than I do.
Yeah,
He's
right.
got
Diego,
some 90s
we've
stories.
obviously had some guests on our show, like Alan Roth and
Yes.
Chris and Ingrid. I know that you used to frequent a lot of those places. In fact, I think you used to promote back in the day.
Yeah, I
right?
grew up with Alan. We went to Beach High. I've known Alan since we were like maybe 14 or
Alan's
something
high
like
tide.
that.
Yeah, Alan's,
He's been
Alan's
in the
high tide.
business for a while. He had his up and down. Now
Right.
he's doing great. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's crushing it.
Yeah.
Have you seen any crazy shit like back in the day? Like,
Oh, I
been
can
part
tell
of-
you. Like I told you, I worked at the Raleigh Hotel going to college. So I worked there for about 3 years when the Raleigh Hotel in the Delano was the top spots to stay at and to party at.
Right.
So I'll give you a choice. I can tell you a story about Jane's Addiction, Dave Navarro. I could tell you a story about Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. I
Sinise,
could tell you a
Sinise.
story from Robert De Niro or David Lee Roth.
you know
Which one
what?
do you want here?
Which one?
I want a couple, so let's start with David Lee Roth, Lights the Menorah.
David Lee Roth. He stayed at the Raleigh for 6 months. He was writing a book.
Yep.
So he stayed with us for 6 months. Really nice guy. I mean, down to earth. So he was cool because he used to tip everyone with weed. So we used to take turns. He used to do a lot of room service. So we would take turns. Okay, you went this morning. I'm gonna take food to his room now. So when we're knocking on the door, he'll tell us, weed or cash, and most of us said weed because he used to give you a handful of weed. So he'll open the side drawer of his bed, and he'll get a whole stack of weed, and he'll tip us.
Was it like the Van Halen days? Did he just always have girls in his room, or?
Not really. He was really focused on that book, but he would come down to the Tiger Oak Room, which was probably one of the best restaurants on the beach back then. Had the best martini back then, and he will hang out with everyone. People will come up to him and say, "Oh, I have my brother on the phone. He doesn't believe you're here. Can you speak to him?" he'll get the phone,
He doesn't
talk
give a
to
fuck,
him.
right?
Such a nice guy, man. Really cool
He
guy.
might have been out of work back then. I want to
Yeah,
hear the Robert De Niro
yeah,
story.
I kind of want to go to Robert De Niro.
wanna
next.
go
All right,
Robert
Robert
De
De Niro. He stayed with us for about 3 months because he opened the Asian restaurant right down the street.
Nobu.
He was there.
That was in what? That was in
that's right.
Townhouse. He was originally in Townhouse.
Yes,
Yeah.
right there.
Right
so
behind
he would
Mint
stay
and
with us
stuff.
for about 3 months. So every morning he would come down. He have a car waiting for him. He'll go every morning, eat at News Cafe. Every morning.
Yep.
He'll come back. He'll work a little while. But when he would go to Nobu, he'll go to Nobu from like noon to 5. So when he would come back to Nobu, he'll tell me. First of all, he'll check in as Bob Collins all the time.
Right.
And he'll tell me, I have guests coming. They don't have to call me up. And we always knew it was always 2 black hookers. Always.
Oh.
Always. Never white girl, no Spanish. It was 2 black hookers. But they were like top notch. And they were, I guess
Nice.
it was a fetish he had because they would always walk in through the lobby in a bikini and high heels.
No.
Always.
And you just had to let him go. Come
Yes, because I knew they were going for Robert De Niro. I mean, you know what I mean? Casino just came out like 2 years beforehand. So
And he was probably filming Analyze This like at that time
it was
anyway.
insane. But one day, we get a call because he used to stay in the executive room all the way on top. We got a call from some people up in the same room saying, look, there's room next to us. The noise is blasting, the music's loud. Could we please come bring someone over here to tell them to come down? So after the 3rd time they called, I went up there. I was working the 3 to 11 shift, and I'm like, what am I going to tell them? I know what's going on in there. I know exactly what's going on there. So I knocked on the door a few times.
Was he like, you're talking to me?
I know, not really. He's just, he's a nice guy, very reserved guy. All of a sudden, I had to bang on the door really hard because it was loud in there. The doors swing open. They're like double doors swing open. Robert De Niro standing there with a joint in his mouth. There's a girl jumping up and down on the sofa with a joint in her mouth, and another girl jumping up and down in the bed with the music blasting. I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Collins. We couldn't call him Robert
Right.
De Niro. Hi, Mr. Collins. We're getting a complaint. Please keep it down. He's like, oh, okay, thank you. And closed the door, and they just kept on partying.
What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? to
I
him? What are you
can't tell him
gonna-
anything. He's paying like $2,000 a night while being there, and it's Robert
And
De
he's a
Niro.
fucking icon. I mean,
yeah,
it's,
he was.
you know?
It was incredible. But he always, and this is something a lot of people know about him. He always needed a phone with him. So if he was sitting down at the bar or sitting down at the cafe or at the restaurant, we always had to wheel in.
Oh, this is
like,
before
the-
cell phones,
The
obviously.
big
Right.
yellow phones with the cable. We put
The
him
bat-
in front of
the
him.
bat phone, the bat
Yes, he always needed a phone with him. So it was. Those were
How-
great times.
How funny would it have been if you would have answered the door like, you talking
I
to
know.
me?
You talking to me?
You talking to me?
I don't see anybody else.
Whoa, I don't.
Yeah.
Huh?
But he was great guest to have. I mean, he never tipped us or anything, but he was
He didn't tip us or
no,
anything.
nothing like
He
that.
gave you but he gave you an autograph,
No,
right?
No,
That's,
we didn't. We couldn't ask for an autograph. Nothing. We
Couldn't
really
get a
couldn't.
picture. Couldn't get
I-
nothing.
I don't know about you, Felix. I want to hear one more about Dave Navarro.
Yeah, I mean,
Dave Navarro,
Diego's not
Jake's
leaving here.
Addiction.
Before we started talking, I was like, "You're gonna tell me that,
Yeah. So
Dave
Jake's
Navarro's story.
Addiction checks in, and Dave and Perry Farrell asked, when they check in, I guess they're used to this. They asked the valet or the bellman, where could we get some stuff?
Right.
So they will send them to me. So they checked in. I didn't know that they were gonna call me. I get a call from one of the rooms, and it's Dave Navarro. And I say, front desk, can I help you? And he's like, is this Diego? And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck's Dave Navarro asking for? He's like, yes, I heard you're the guy to
That's
speak
how it
to.
worked.
And I'm like, yes, how can I help you, sir? And he's like, no, sir, just call me Dave. And he's like, what do you have with you? I'm like, well, sir, I have a little bit of weed, my own
Right.
stash. He's like, no, I need something stronger. Is there a possibility you could come up to the room? I said, sure. So I go up to the room, I knock on the door, his roadie opens. Typical roadie, 5'5", big fat white guy, long hair, 2 hairs on top of his head, but long hair.
I heard Dave is vertically challenged. He's a short guy, right?
He's a very short guy. I walk in, they open the door. He's like, Dave's over there. I go, Dave's sitting on top of his bed, like yoga pose. Diego, and I'm like, good to meet you. He's like, well, look, Diego, I'm here for 2 days. I need for you to help me out. And I'm like, all right, what do you need? He's like, well, I want something stronger than weed. I'm like, all right, so what do you need? He's like,
A little
do you have some coke? Because I heard the coke in Miami is great. And I say, sure, what do you need? He's like, give
That's
me
funny.
2 8-balls. I'm like, 2 8-balls for 2 days?
That's funny.
what
I heard
the
the coke
fuck?
in Miami's great.
I know.
I
he's
heard.
like,
I heard.
2
There's a rumor.
8-balls. So I call my buddy Matthew, rest in peace. He brought it over. He paid $200 a bar. I made like $50 on it. So I call him from downstairs. I'm like, it's here. And he's like, well, can you bring it up? I go up there. I open the door. I go in there. And I give it to him. And then he's like, can you try some with me? I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, hell yeah. Well, I hope my kids will watch it. I'm like, hell yes. I'm in a party with you. So he takes it out, does on the table. We do our thing, take some bumps. And he's like, wow, there's nothing like Miami. And that's exactly what he said. There's nothing like Miami. And then he tells me, are you coming to my concert? I said, I don't have tickets. You know, I work for Des. He calls his roadie over and he's like, this is my friend Diego. Whatever if he wants, gives it. He ended up giving me 20 tickets.
Jeez.
I went with all my friends. I even invited the guy that sold them the yayo. Introduce them to Dave and stuff like that. So that's my story with Dave Navarro, man.
You know what? I think,
Just
usually
a
they
little
say,
yayo story.
but usually, they say don't meet your heroes. Like I love hearing stories like that where it's like good dudes. You know what I mean?
Such a great guy. Lieutenant Dan from what's it
Forrest
called?
Gump.
Forrest Gump is great. He bought some weed. We smoked a joint with him and just we're all great guy. And that's Lieutenant Dan. He just came out with Forrest Gump.
Right.
So no one knew him the year before.
Right.
And now he comes out to Miami.
Now he's got to be careful.
Everyone knows him and stuff. So we had to smoke the joint in the back of the hotel.
Right.
And stuff. Really nice guy, always telling us keep focused.
But do you find like Miami Beach? That's what it was back then. It was just celebrities. This was the celebrity playground.
Everywhere. Sylvester Stallone, Cindy Crawford. Everyone will walk around. But I think what happened was the Versace. After Versace got killed, which he was just walking on Ocean Drive in his robe. Once that happened, I think that scared a lot of people, a lot of celebrities away.
Really? So you think they went back to LA? A lot of them went to
I think they just stayed in LA. I mean, they're originally from there. They stayed over there. But now we're getting a lot of Cali's coming over, huh?
Yeah, Cali's, I think during COVID.
You're in the industry. I'm sure you see a lot of Cali people coming.
how many people open restaurants? How many celebrities are opening restaurants now? I think actually that's a problem. I'm sure me and Bernie have the same opinion on this, is the fact that now you have guys who want to open restaurants, but a lot of them really can't because everybody's got money now.
Yeah.
So now the demand outweighs the inventory, and instead of like a real talented chef with real culinary artist that has great ideas, now some schmucky LA guy is gonna come here and open, and it'll be open for 9 months, and
everything's with like a celebrity behind it, right? Bad Bunny, he opened the one, and
but that one's doing well. I mean, look who you got with. I mean, having Dave Grutman as a partner doesn't really suck. I mean,
no, it doesn't suck.
You got a lot of that PR machine. You got the dollars behind you.
Yeah, and it's funny that Bad Bunny will open it because he doesn't need the money. I mean, who must have talked him into it, right?
You know what? We had a conversation with somebody the other day about it. It's if you remember New York nightclubs in the 90s, it was 30 guys putting in 25 grand a piece just to say that they have a nightclub and they can get a table whenever they want. They get laid. Like that was really the.
It's not about the money.
It's not about the money.
One, have your own place.
Yeah, recognition, I guess.
You got your own restaurant, especially partnering up with Dave Grutman. That's a real restaurant icon here in this town.
And you know what? He's done a lot. I mean, he's definitely done a lot for the city.
No doubt.
Guys like him and Roman, they're real G's. I mean, they're really the last of the Mohicans. You know?
And look, and David's put in time. I remember I did some work with him in Tantra.
Yeah.
When he was in Tantra, I must have been 24. He must have been 23.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was in Tantra, we did some stuff there.
What a hit that was.
Right.
Yeah, so he put in some.
What a phenomenon.
Yeah, with the grass. I think that place got popular because of the fucking grass.
I used to love that place.
Grass on the floor.
It was
the
different.
Worst location ever.
Right.
And
and
it was a phenomenon.
It was in a local spot. Yeah, it was back there.
So now tell me, Bernie, about the rest of the journey. Okay, so now when did you open Café Bernie's?
Café Bernie 5 years ago, I finally said, you know what, I'm at the age where I'm just going to do my own little local spot, just for 33140. We're in Mid Beach.
And you're one of those guys, like, I know you cannot, like, you need to stay in Miami Beach. Like, you need to stay, you love Miami Beach.
It's hard to leverage anything that you do outside of Miami Beach at this point. Plus, I mean, I was born in Miami Beach, and I'm blessed to where my grandson was born here 2.5 years ago.
Grandson,
so talk about from here my whole family is from here. My grandparents lived here. My
Right.
uncles started their businesses here. So I had uncles on Lincoln Road in the 60s. Okay, so
Wow.
that's how far back and how deep we go here in Miami Beach. If I go anywhere else in the world, they don't know who the fuck I am. So
good point.
I got to stay here. Now, it's not what it used to be, and I would like to be moving on at some point. But we love it here. It's the most beautiful place in the country,
I
certainly.
mean,
So,
dude, look at where we are today.
Yeah,
I mean,
plus this is Jewish heaven for you, Matz.
Felix, I did a little spot in the back of a condominium
Yep.
with no sign out front. So I defy anyone to try that.
well, you know what? A lot of people do know about it, and whenever we do the lists of like what are the top Miami Beach places, a lot of people mention your place.
Awesome. Well,
And
thank
I
you.
think
Love it.
it's really cool. I love what you're doing. But now we're obviously hanging out, drinking Jack Daniels. How did you get involved with the South Beach Seafood Festival?
South Beach, the festival. Early on, Bodega partnered up with them.
Oh, okay,
I
interesting.
must say, Bodega, and they recognized it. We were just starting out, and I think that when they first started with this battle stuff, they concocted a Bodega versus Coyo Taco. And I don't know if you guys remember,
Yeah,
10
Coyo.
years ago, they opened up around the same place. Coyo was a phenomenon in Wynwood, Bodega phenomenon here in South Beach. They were kind of the same concept.
Yeah, but it was like
You
the
know,
best of Miami, who's better, you know? Like,
right. So
because both of you guys had speakeasies.
we both had speakeasies in the back, and then I don't know who came up with this, but it was Bodega versus Coyo.
I
And
actually
I don't
love
think
that.
it had anything to do with me or the chef from Coyo Taco. It was more about Bodega versus Coyo, and it became like a curiosity, no?
Right.
Like I mean, I'm not gonna say Ali Frazier, but it was more like Paul against
Right. Mike Tyson.
against Mike Tyson. It
Everyone
was
likes
like
a good battle, right?
Right. Everybody likes a good battle, and people came out. People were invested. They loved their bodega. They loved their taco. They came to root for them. It was packed. We were the highlight of that night, and it really felt like a heavyweight fight.
Did it draw up a good crowd? Like-
The place was packed, and I honestly I believe that it put the chef showdown battle segment of this festival on the map.
Well,
All of a sudden,
yeah. Well,
people
you
cared
put
about
Bodega on the
something.
map.
Yeah.
I know you don't hear this
Well-
that often, but you put Bodega on the map.
We had
the
a great
millions and
product.
millions of dollars that company made.
Yeah.
It's because of your recipes, you being involved.
100%.
And, yeah, and making the best tacos on the beach.
You know what was
Well-
cool was they allowed me to like just really go out
Right.
and put out a really quality product, and we did.
Yeah.
It really was.
What other great battles? I mean, listen, we're sitting here talking to the 6-time champ. So give me.
It's funny how this has evolved. I wish that they would come up with more creative battles that people would be involved with. I mean, you guys know if you can have a fight night, and
Right.
if you don't have like a heavyweight championship thing, nobody really gives a
Right.
fuck,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they go and they watch a little bit, but you don't really care. So you want those kind of battles that go up against each other. I mean, over the years, imagine, I've been with them all these years, except for the pandemic.
Right.
They closed once, and I was a judge once,
Right.
where I finally said, all right, I'm going to sit down and judge.
Right.
Felix, as a judge, I couldn't get the same amount of marketing bang
Right.
for
No,
my buck.
of course
So I
not at all.
realized I got to go back into the ring and
Right.
compete, because as a judge, nobody gives a
So
fuck.
you pulled a George Foreman.
So I pulled a George Foreman. I came back fat and overweight, but I came back strong
hair.
and prepared. So you could do battle. I think the other big battle that we had that really got a lot of attention here for the festival and for us as well
Right.
was Ralph Pagano.
Yeah.
Ralph Pagano was a very popular guy. Had been on Hell's Kitchen. And he was almost killed in a
Yeah.
freak
Yeah,
restaurant.
he
Almost,
got
yeah.
like a big percentage of his body got
His
burned. Right?
arms and his legs, all his extremities. He was in ICU for almost 6 months,
Yep.
if you can imagine that. Nobody saw him for a year. And then finally, his first public appearance coming back was, Chef Showdown, Naked Taco against Bodega. So that was another big one that got a lot of things.
Who won that one?
He got the sympathy vote.
He
on
got
that
the
one.
sympathy vote.
But Felix, I can tell you that
I know, poor guy got burned to death. Give
he
him
got
an
burned to
award.
death. I was happy to lose that year. But the bigger than that one was the rematch the
Right.
next year. So that was good. We were thrilled for the festival that we could bring that kind of attention to it. And it's those kind of things that I encourage them to continue to pursue. You know, those kind of rivalries. I don't know, two sushi guys that want to kill each other, two seafood guys that want to go at each other, and maybe they get. That's what's going to spark interest.
And today you have your battle.
Come and see your.
Tonight's the
thing.
battle.
So obviously, I'm in it this year. You don't want to lose. You know, you go into this just like any other boxing match, thinking that guy could get a lucky punch and I could go down, or I've been training, you know, all year and I'm ready to fight. But you definitely don't want to lose because if you lose, all the investment is lost. All right, you can't promote it on social media if you lose. If you win, you can promote it. If you lose, you just got to go away quietly.
Well, you can promote second place.
No, you.
Second place is no place, according to Karate Kid.
Nobody remembers the loser of the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Or the
So
loser
true.
of the World Series.
So if you're, let's say you're a little mom and pop, you know, you live in Miami, what does it take to get into the festival? How do they pick, like, what restaurants go in? Or...
You know what? That's a good question. I think that's a question for the owners of the festival.
Yep.
They should probably do a better job, or they could do a better job of picking really the best of the best. But I think that they feel like they do. They put their feelers out and they go throughout 305, and I feel like they're going all the way up to 954 now.
I mean, listen, I'm very public about this. Like, for me, like, I could care less about the bigger chain restaurants. Like, nobody,
Same here.
the locals don't give a fuck, man. There's so much. We have so much local talent that, you know, which I'm like, listen, I know sometimes you need the big guys to bring the attention for the little guys, but like, I think to do battle like Bodega versus Coyo, I think we just need more of that. I mean, there's so much. We have so much talent.
You know, I was thinking the other day, Felix, how cool this would be for these guys to create these sort of battles in every major city. Okay, maybe sell it to the Food Network or one of these television stations,
like Southeast,
and then
Wine
have
and
the
Food,
champions of the champions, and and then create a World Series of chefs.
I
and
think
so
that's
forth,
brilliant.
Where really down and dirty, they go up against each other and do battle. That would be a cool thing. As far as you know, picking who's who, I'm not really sure. I'm just blessed that I've had the opportunity to be here.
Right, but listen, I really love that what the Seafood Festival does. You know, how it does bring in you know, a lot of the local. It just lets the local guys showcase their talents and, you know, really finally get a main stage. You know, guys that maybe from like Miami Lakes and other areas around Miami maybe wouldn't get, you know, recognition from, you know, Miami Beach or exactly that exposure.
It's great.
You know, little guys like me don't have a marketing budget, so we try to leverage situations like this, and there's not much better. The only other situation like this would be the Food and Wine Festival that happens in that's
February,
a more national situation, which we also participate in February. But really, those are the only two in town, Felix.
Yeah.
So, like, you want to leverage something and get your marketing bang for your buck. This is the only way to go. Obviously, compete, get involved. They share and reshare on Instagram, and you can really create a synergy on your marketing. If not, then it becomes very different.
All right, well, now I got a sensitive question for you then. I mean, you kind of just touched the subject, so who am I to stop the wheels from turning? So, like, for example, when the South Beach Seafood Festival came to Miami Beach, did it ruffle some feathers with Sobe Food and Wine? Did they try to cock block it, or
different months? Is the one that has nothing to do with another.
That's a good question. You know, I remember when Val first started, I knew her from the Chamber of Commerce, and she said, I'm going to do this food festival in October. And I said, you're fucking crazy doing a food festival in October. It rains, nobody's in town. What are you guys doing? Well, you know, she had Joe's Stone Crab behind her.
Right.
Now thinking back on it, it was brilliant because it was really the inception of the season.
Yep.
It was the return of the stone crab. The stone crab is the most important thing we have in this area, right? That October 15th date marks, boom, all of a sudden the crabs are back, the people are back, the people are back from New York. And by the way, we're the only place that has crabs. That's what makes us special.
Right.
And that's why Joe's Stone Crab is so special. So as far as ruffling feathers, I don't know. I don't think so. I think they coincided. It's in October. It's in February.
Yeah.
This is more local. That's more national. They bring in their celebrities from their television stations and all that shit. They fly guys in from all over the world, and they give a couple of local guys. And thankfully, we've been invited and we're there. but they don't really feature the local guys.
Right.
Where South Beach Seafood Festival features at least 305 and a little bit of 954.
Right. I just don't see Southern sponsoring the festival anytime soon.
No, no. Southern is made a great investment in that and the Food Network.
Yeah.
And
partnering
Seafood
with
Fest
them.
has breakthrough here. Yeah.
Yeah, they got breakthrough.
Yeah,
so
which is huge.
that's
They're
the
great
second
brands.
Yeah.
biggest giant company of liquor in the
Now
world.
I just want Valley to produce another big event like this.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like a liquor event or a spirit event here on the beach will be great. Something big like that.
That would be great.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have to end this off
Gentlemen.
with, since again we're talking seafood and fish, and I'm thinking we're gonna have to go with both of you guys. Top 3 ceviche in Miami.
Top three
oh.
ceviche in Miami.
Gee.
Top 3 ceviche.
Go ahead, this guy. You go
Chalan's great. Right
Okay,
there.
No particular order. So we got Chalan for 1.
Ceviche 105.
We got ceviche 105 for 2.
And Café Bernie has a damn good ceviche.
I love Bernie's
there we
ceviche.
go.
I
Thank
love
you for
Bernie's
mentioning
ceviche.
that.
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
ceviche is rather good.
It's good.
I'm gonna go number 1, Sabor de Peru on Biscayne and like
28th.
28th. Love Sabor de Peru. Still go back there. I think it's old school, straight up.
Great mom
Peruvian.
and pop. They run a good business.
Back in your old hood, Locura Marina on
Locura.
Solid.
72nd
Yep.
and
Collins,
Collins.
yep.
Love that place. Super consistent. And number 3, there's a lot. I'm gonna say Café Bernie too.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Well,
mean, you
I'll
could
say
never
Café
go
Bernie.
wrong.
it's your
Number 3.
restaurant.
You can't
so
go
better
wrong
say
with
it.
Cafe
Our
Bernie.
Mahi ceviche kicks ass.
Yeah.
Amazing, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks for being the first on location for Just the Tip.
Yes,
You
thanks for
guys are always
having us.
fucking awesome. I love you. It's part of our what we call the podcast exchange program.
Yeah. Podcast connection.
And by the way, guys, thank you for bringing us on early on, because when Just the Tip becomes huge, I'm going to say I was there when they first started.
Yeah.
I love it.
So thank you.
I love it.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Thanks
Thank
for,
you.
Have a
Thanks
great
for
one.
having us. Bye, everyone.
Wait, everybody.